This message is just for you. You are good enough. This is the episode for you. What is it that makes starting something new so scary for some of us? I see so much coverage, so much relatable content shared about new and shiny syndrome or shiny object syndrome. You know, what it feels like to be constantly responding to the beckoning of new and exciting things that distract you from being able to commit to going all in on your goals or to seeing things through to completion. But I do not have shiny object syndrome. I have the exact opposite. I experience huge resistance to starting something new, even if it's not that big a change. So what's going on? Why do some of us find it so hard when other people are finding it equally hard not to barrel towards that new thing, that new gadget, that new project? So first of all, is it just, as people often say, fear of the unknown? Well, I don't think so, because there are so many unknown things that we rush into without any fear. We might be terrified of learning a new software, but love visiting new places. We might be thrilled at the opportunity to try new foods, but dread meeting new people. Fear of starting something new definitely seems to be context specific. So I've been thinking about it, and here is what I think is going on, at least with me, and I hope it will help you too. I think underneath all of it is fear of how it's going to interfere with our current lifestyle. You know, what does it mean to commit this time? What are we going to need to give up? Where is this thing going to borrow its time and energy from? I think it comes from fear of how it's going to interact with our current belief systems, ideas that we already hold about what kind of person would be good at this thing, feeling like there's a huge distance between us and the imagined them, and then that leads us to a secondary fear of shame. And not even just public humiliation or making mistakes in front of people, but fear of disappointing ourselves and not living up to our own expectations and the shame that comes from that. And also fear that it won't work out. You know, what if we don't like it? What if it doesn't work? What if it leaves us feeling stressed or stupid? What if the returns don't justify what we put into it? And people say, as humans, we are scared of change, but are we? I think we're rather scared of loss. We're scared of things getting worse. We're scared of unintended consequences of a thing that at first glance looked really good. So if this is you too, and you've got new things that you really want to try, but you're battling resistance, you find it really stressful, really overwhelming, or really tiring, what can we do about it? Well, number one, tackle the fear of losses. Before you go into this thing, ring fence all the things that you're scared of losing. So what are the losses that you're most afraid of with this particular thing or this particular project? Is it money? Is it social life, time with your family, leisure time? Whatever it is, take steps to reassure yourself that you can protect the thing that you're worried about losing. So practically what that might look like is setting a budget for the funds or the time or the energy that you can put towards this thing, at least until it's proven itself. If it's your leisure time or your social time that you're worried about losing, maybe tack the leisure activity or the social time right on the end of starting that thing. So for example, every time you spend 45 minutes on your language study, you get 15 minutes of listening to songs or 15 minutes of sending memes to your friends. Plan outings or plan events and put them into your diary before you even start figuring out when you're going to bring this new thing in, so that you know right from the start that it is not going to bulldoze through all the things that make you happy or that keep you feeling like you. Number 2, remind yourself of the gains. Once you've protected your potential losses, shift your focus to the reasons that you're starting this in the first place. What could this thing bring you? Is it skills? Is it opportunities? Is it people? Is it a new way to dive into something that already interests you? What made you excited about this thing in the first place? And then once you've got that, keep those things in mind. Write them down and stick them somewhere visible, or maybe keep some photos, postcards of the country, the university you want to go to, the company you want to work for, to remind yourself what you're doing it all for. And don't just save it for those philosophical moments of reflection or the middle of an existential crisis. Keep them somewhere where you can see them before you start, every time you start. Don't lose sight of why you wanted to do this. You were excited about it for a reason. Number 3, tackle the fear of not being the right person. And this is something that I'm going to be revisiting a few times in the next few weeks. But in short, what it means is letting go of the idea that you're supposed to get things right straight away. It's really easy to think that if something's going to work for you, it should come naturally, it should come easily, and you should feel at home with it right from the start. But the reality most of the time is that that is not true, and there's normally a learning curve first in which you do struggle, in which you are confused, and in which you aren't sure if this thing is for you or not. So it's about accepting the learning curves, celebrating the small steps, and realizing that being a beginner is inevitable. It's not a sign of anything. And no matter how hard you try to skip that stage, you've got to go through it. It's also about seeing the potential of being right at the beginning, in spite of all the confusion and the Googling and the not knowing what you're doing, and realizing that being at the start can actually be exciting as well. But finally, I wanted to add that it's also about picking your moments. And I'm not saying here, wait until you're ready, because you might never reach that magical moment of being ready or the perfect right time. But if you're at a point in your life right now when everything is changing, you're already out of your comfort zone all day, and you're physically or mentally exhausted, it might genuinely be too far from the right time for this to be feasible, and that's okay. When I am too far into uncertainty, when I am right in the middle of learning lots of new things, being around lots of new people, even just starting a new TV show is too much. So make sure that your expectations to yourself are fair as well. And as always, this is the beginning of a conversation, and I would love to hear what you do to get yourself into the frame of mind where you can start new things, where you're excited to start new things, and where when you're in that time, you're able to find it interesting and fun rather than stressful or overwhelming. So let me know what you do in the comments, and if you are starting something new this week or in the next little while, let us know and we will send all sorts of encouragement. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.